Welcome to the Bright Commerce Podcast with your host, Judd Dunnigan and Carlos Caneje. We have a four-part series called Web Application Design Breakdown that will walk you through the challenges on quoting, building, and delivering a well-rounded web application.
How you doing today, Judd?
I'm doing well, Carlos. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's Thursday. It's our first podcast. We've been talking about this for a while. Why don't we
have 0 followers.
0 followers.
So I know my mom will follow. So that'll be the first one probably.
All right. So why don't we start with some intros, Judd? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm from Bright Vessel. We are a WooCommerce WordPress development agency. We deal primarily in WordPress and WooCommerce. We work with B2B, but have shifted more towards B2B clients in the last couple of years. We also build plugins, WordPress plugins, some of the most popular ones on WordPress.org, as well as paid ones. And we manage AWS hosting servers for most of our clients and love all things web, basically.
How long have you been doing that, Judd? How long would you say you're not just involved with Bright Vessel, but the whole industry?
Literally since 1998.
1998, wow. So you're
doing graphics / web stuff, dating all the way back to Flash. That was like the first thing that I was a Flash.
Oh, sure. Or Shockwave, right? Shockwave?
Yeah. Shockwave Flash, yeah, I was the player. Animated
which Apple killed.
Yeah, and the internet was cool back then. People don't realize how cool and visually cool it was, even though we had the bandwidth was shit. It was.
Yeah, you're so right. It really was, and I think the phone killed it all.
The phone did.
All right, so I'll get into my intro. I'm Carlos Caneja. I'm CEO and founder of Brightcode. Brightcode's been around for roughly 10 years. I've been in the technology industry for 20 years. Before web design and web development, I worked for a hosting company. So I do come from that technology background.
I was a client.
And actually, Judd was a client. That is correct. And we were very e-commerce focused, So I'm talking like Miva Merchant Days or Yahoo Stores. Those were like our competitors at the time.
Or ASP.NET Storefront.
ASP.NET Storefront came later. Yeah, before that, it was Storefront.net.
That's right. Who was that guy? I forgot the guy's name there. That was a great guy that helped me out.
Which used to run Troy.
Now?
Oh, anyway, it used to run on Front Page initially. It was an extension.
Oh my God. Front Page? Good Lord.
Yes. That's how you were able to build these sites, was an extension on Front Page. You would create a database of your products. It would do it all for you. And then you would just literally drag and drop products into your pages.
I think if we could find someone that has a front page website still up today, like now, we should just offer to rebuild it for free for them.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's funny. I actually talked to a guy a few years ago. He was having all these issues with his website. This was years ago, and as I got deeper into trying to troubleshoot the issue, he told me it was built on Front Page, and this is just somebody I had met at one of these business meeting type places, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, the only thing I can tell you is from working with Front Page myself, there's a couple things you can do server side, but for the most part, just you gotta replatform, you gotta move somewhere else.
Yeah.
The guy just didn't want to hear it, but it was just so buggy, right? Because it was the beginning of the web, I guess, per se. So we're gonna get into our podcast here, which is Bright Commerce, and today we actually wanted to talk about web application design breakdown. So we like to go over all the different phases of what it takes to strategize, design, and successfully develop and launch a web or application.
I have one question. Do you like doing projects?
It depends. That's a good question. It depends what project it is.
Yeah.
I've lost my design skills.
So the reason I think this topic we're bringing up is probably if you do it right and you have like a good system, it could make it a very good and easy experience, both on the client side as well as your teams. But if you don't have it really outlined and done well, it could be ruling hell. So I hope with what we're going to outline today is to help understand some of those pitfalls as well as some of the successes you can have with a good process.
Yeah, so basically what we follow there is, I guess you could say, it's become an industry standard, right? We go by 4 phases, which is discovery, strategy, design, and development. And those are like our main pillars to essentially have a successful project, right? Now, we're not talking about building a small website though, like a 5-pager or a 3-pager, right? We're talking about building a full-blown application. That's when this really comes into play.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you have to understand what the customer wants. You have to figure
Yeah.
out how you're going to build it. If he's going to be happy with that, then you have to design it, and then you have to get it developed and launched, right? So I think the way we said we were going to do this was you were going to talk more on the agency side. I was going to talk more on the consumer
Yeah.
side.
Let's do
So
it.
so with those 4 phases being done, let's kind of get into that discovery phase, right?
Can we take the first on that?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and
So,
tell us like what's entailed in discovery, what should be asked?
so this is probably, it could be argued the most important phase of a project, because this is where you really set what the project's going to be, how it's going to be worked, the timeline and everything. Now, typically, some people might want to do a discovery phase prior, so they'll spend some time working with a potential client and gathering and understanding everything before they take the job. Some others will do this after the fact, like, so if there's some cases where if you're doing the same type of job, you're building the same type of build, you would just do the discovery after, because you already know what the build's going to be. And I'd give you an example. We're migrating a lot of customers off a platform onto WooCommerce, and it's literally the same job, for everybody. So in that case, I would do a discovery call after, but I would definitely have a questionnaire. There's certain things that we found after doing a few jobs that we need to ask those questions and make sure we don't fall into the same mistakes. However, on the flip side, if you're trying to get a customer, like you're working with a customer, it is good to spend maybe 4 or 6 hours, not just from the sales side, but on the side with your team, really looking at, this is what the customer asked for. These are the requirements that we think there are, going to be on the website, and then outline that really well so that both you, your team, and the customer can understand then what the project's going to be. Then it's quoted. Now, I think I'm going to put it back to you, Carlos, because you mentioned about, I think when it comes to discovery, sometimes that is a billable phase in its own.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually it kind of overlaps with strategy, right? And here's what happens is when you have a large project that
yeah,
is custom, not a turnkey solution, right? Not somebody coming to
yeah,
you saying, I need a 5-pager, or I need an e-commerce website that's direct to consumer and it's going to have 5 products. You can put that in the back of your mind by now, right? That's all pretty
yeah.
easily done. I'm going to give an example. Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line, which is a cruise line that lives out of Palm Beach here to go to the Bahamas.
Okay.
They came to us a few years ago saying, hey, we need our booking engine redesigned. It doesn't convert well. It's very clunky. So it was hard for us to just go into their booking engine
Oh yeah,
and give them a free quote or some kind of quote and say, okay, this is what we think it's going to take, right? So,
yeah. Well,
instead,
if I could just stop you real quick.
yeah,
Also, what happens too, and this has happened to me in the past, you spend a lot of time for, let's say, a big client. You give them a whole roadmap of how you would build something, put everything together, and then when it comes time, you give them the proposal. Guess what they can do with all that information?
go to
They can
somebody
go
else.
and just give it to
Yeah,
somebody else,
and
and
but
that's the
that's
problem.
usually how I sell a paid discovery and a
Yeah,
paid strategy. I tell
yeah,
them, hey, it's going to be hard for me to estimate this. It's going to be a guesstimate, and we don't want to do
yeah,
that because that puts you at risk and it puts me at risk. We feel like based on the size of your project, the best approach is to bill maybe 1 sprint, which is 10 hours for us, or 2 sprints, and basically go over the information hierarchy on your website, or again, you still have to do a discovery call and kind of define their goals, and then based on that, then you can strategize and say, okay, here's what you should do, and then here's how much
yeah.
it's going to cost you if you want us to do it.
So I'm very visual on that standpoint. I'll put together use cases,
Yeah,
wireframes, flow charts.
yeah. Site
So
site
to get an
maps.
architectural deck, that's
Yes,
what I would put in that discovery phase,
correct.
buildable phase, because I tell them that is that is an asset for you. Like literally, you learn what you need. Because you might have some impression in your head, oh, this is what I need my app or my website to do. But then after diving into it, you figure out, oh, that's not what I need. And that happens a lot, especially when you get into development. I heard so many times that, oh, you're the developer, you should know that. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, I didn't know your app needed to do that. That's something
Right,
you
right.
tell
Yeah,
me. So
yeah.
So in this case, when you have that kind of prototype and that wireframe done, it's locked in stone. It's also very easy to get approved. And then when your team goes to build it out, they follow that to a T. There is no mistake, because that, mistakes can happen even on the team
It
side.
minimizes mistakes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, highly agree. Payable for big jobs.
It just,
Absolutely.
yeah. And again, the way we always sell it is, hey, if you pay for us to do this discovery / strategy, we can give you an estimate on it. We'll give you the documentation, or we'll give you a report on what you think you should do, how you should implement it. And then if you want us to do it, we can go ahead and execute it, or you can go ahead and take it to another agency and just show them what you have.
Absolutely. That's why it's literally a tangible asset, to the project. Like they can
Right.
take that,
Yeah.
they can
Right.
from it, they can
Right.
use it.
Correct. The customer can walk away with a paid asset should they not
Yeah,
want to use
it's
you.
a building
Yeah.
block. They're not walking,
You're
starting.
cornering the customer into saying like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you have to use me and you have to do discovery and pay me for it. If
Yeah.
somebody said that to me, I'd be like, see you later,
Yeah, but here's the thing. They could so if they did take your awesome discovery and your whole like architectural deck and bring it to overseas or somewhere it's like really
Yeah.
cheap. So it could still be done very wrong. So I want to make sure
That's true too.
that
That's very
it
really
could
good
be
point.
because I've had
And by the way,
somebody, I've had that happen, and then they came back to me and they said, "Oh, we have this built," and I was like, "Well, I hate to say it, but we're gonna have to rebuild it because what they did is crap, right?" "Oh, but can't you just pick?" I was like, "Nope, can't just pick it up." Like honestly, this is a hot taco. It's like eating glass and crapping nails. I don't want to take the job.
Correct. It's
You
actually
only pick
quality, speed, and price.
Yeah, so
only
we give
pick
you
two.
quality, price, but you're not going to get speed, right? So
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, we've had it happen to us both ways. We've had customers, and for the most part, customers do move forward with us doing the the design and the development after we do a page. But we've had to go the other way too. I don't know if you know this company called Pritikin. They're like a celebrity or like a high-end luxury diet center, right?
Oh,
And they had a huge
no, I don't know them.
SEO. Dude, they had a huge SEO footprint, right? So they were generating
Yeah.
a lot of traffic from the SEO side. They desperately needed a redesign. Their site had thousands of pages for being built over the years. And we said, hey, look, the best approach here is to identify
Yeah.
or re-architect the website, the consumer journey or the customer journey, identify all the SEO backlinks, identify what pages are generating what SEO traffic so it doesn't get lost. And then from there, we can give you a quote, and then you can either, develop with us, design and develop with us, or somebody else. This was pre-pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, they shut down, obviously, right? And by the time they opened back up again, they hired a new CEO. So all that stuff went out the window.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So paid strategy is always definitely it's a win-win. It's a win for the agency, and it's a win for the customer as well too. So just kind of like finishing up on discovery. We touched on a lot of things, right? Give us some of the tools that you use for client discovery.
Okay, so we use Figma. I would say for doing a flow charts or Fig Jam. To do flow charts showing the use cases of the site, how the customer paths are going through. We had a client that is a bodybuilder out in LA. He does training as well as sells peptides, all sorts of stuff. So he had the way his site worked, it was a booking. You could book time with him.
I say
for his like nutritional stuff, and then there's also products he sold, but the booking was using 3 different kind of tools. So it was like you sign up, you add your email, hit submit. Then there was a second part where you'd have to scroll to. You wouldn't even know to scroll to it. You just have to like, if you scroll down, you'd hit it. That was an intake form to like Google Forms. So it wasn't like that whole path, and the way it was built was just not. It wasn't really good because customers didn't even know what they had to do. So we put in Fig Jam. The 2 different types of customers. One that
I'm sorry, Fig Jam or Figma?
Fig Jam is
Fig Jam. I'm sorry, I understood Figma right away. I apologize.
Figma, but Fig Jam. So we started that. We kind of said, hey, this is how we approach this, and this is how your user would come, and then we explain each section, what it would do, the tools that we use to do that. So we use Gravity Forms, for example, as the form system to be able to intake all the information.
Nice.
And then just trying to make that customer experience better before getting to the design phase. So once we get to the design phase, we use Figma. So I think between those two tools, they kind of do everything that we need from, I would say the discovery part, if we're having to build out, and then maybe that falls into strategy a little bit.
They certainly all overlap at the end of the day.
We also use Google Drive for our customers to be able to, upload their files.
Yeah, like data repository. That'll have to be a different episode altogether, because there's so much stuff we're gonna cover here, and so much stuff we're gonna miss too, because there's just so much complexity to building a website. So I mean, this discovery, there's definitely a lot to cover. If you're an agency, you should be covering all these things with your customers. If you're a customer looking to build a website with an agency, these are things they should be asking and things they should be telling you. Also, some of the things we didn't mention was technology and framework. You need to make sure that your customer is aligned on how you're going to build this application or website that they want. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's like doing that architectural deck that we spoke about a little.
Nice. So you would actually include that in there. You would include this technology stack, what I like to call the technology stack, right?
Well, yeah, because you're basically telling them how to build their website from that point. I would say that would have to be part. Yeah, so it's a funny thing I read, or it's like a meme maybe, but it showed a guy that it's this old tanker, like ship. And a guy, they hired this old man to come fix the boiler.
I know which one it is. Give me an itemized bill.
And he went up to
the hammer. This is the one with the hammer, right?
And he said, okay, $30,000. He says, but it only took you 10 minutes to fix. And he goes, but it was 30 or 40 years of experience, knowing where to actually hit the damn.
Oh, I'd say I've been told a little bit different. And I'm sorry, I got excited there when you brought it up, because I bring it up all the time. Well, it's very similar. It's very similar, but it's basically, hey, you're charging me $30,000. I want an itemized bill. Sure, hammer, because the guy, in my version of the story, the guy hammered somewhere and the engine started. So he goes, hammer $5.
Oh yeah.
And then where to hit?
Yeah.
$29,995.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So
it's knowing,
but like when you look at a WordPress like plugin stack, there's over, I think, 89,000 free plugins, and then there's equally the same amount, I think, plugins that you can buy that are paid. Knowing the exact best plugins to use is years of experience and trial by error.
You're
working
so right.
on hundreds and hundreds of websites to understand which ones are best, and then also understand which ones came out that are good as well. So, people that are WordPress agencies, or especially the top, like us, WordPress VIP, WooCommerce Verified Expert, is because we've done so much in it and knowing what to use and what not to use. That's our experience, and that's what they pay for. Now, someone can get lucky and just by chance pick the right plugin stack. But, I think there's a little bit to that when it comes to not only just picking the plugins, but also configuring them all properly. Picking the right caching tools, making sure the website's fast, making sure it goes on a good hosting server, not a piece of shit one that's a shared server. I know we're not supposed to badmouth hosting companies in case we need sponsors, but in general, like, when it comes to hosts, the server themselves might need to be provisioned correctly to run fast. So there's a lot, not just the website being developed. There's a lot from the website being developed all the way to the website being online, and then as well being very fast. And then I'll tell you one other thing I'll add on is SEO. Even I think web developers now are know more about on-page SEO than actual SEO people. They use tools, but when it comes down to it, to make a website fast, you're not going to be talking to an SEO guy. You're going to be talking to
the SEO guy is going to tell you your website needs to be fast. However,
they
he or
can't
she may not necessarily know how to make it fast. Yeah,
because we do that for customers. I love doing when on-page SEO is included in our management plans, just because it's part of our job. So it's like I tell people, you don't have to pay a person to do this unless they're generating content, getting you inbound leads, doing social mentions, social content. If they're not doing any of that, you don't need to hire or fire them and pay us.
Yeah. All right, Judd. So I think this sums up our first podcast. I don't want to make it too long and bore people. This, by the way, we didn't mention this at the beginning, but this is a 4 episode podcast for just for this topic, which is web application design breakdown. So our next episode is going to be on strategy. Today we covered discovery. Next we'll cover strategy. Then we'll get into design and then development. And again, it'll be all about what the agency should do and what
the customer should look out for.
Exactly. That is it. All right. Well, Judd, you want to do an outro? How can people reach you? They want to know more about you.
Brightvessel.com. That's BRIGHT, V as in Victor, ESSEL.com.
All right, cool. And then we are brightecode.io. That's BRITECODE.io. And that is all for today. We'll see you next time.
That wraps up our first podcast from Bright Commerce, episode 1, Web Application Design Breakdown, covering discovery. Please stay tuned and subscribe for part 2, which is going to be covering strategy.